Hello. Hi everyone. Hope you all enjoyed that little video I found about the making of Parasite Eve. Um, Always interesting to look at the kind of tools that they show in those videos. Like obviously the videos they show are kind of very consumer focused, but in that video you could have spied a bit of Lightwave being used by Squaresoft back in the 90s. I think it was Lightwave. I'm not 100% sure, but it's always interesting to kind of peek into the tools that era of games were made in. Yeah. So Hi everyone. Hope you've had a good week, and we're just gonna do another little dev stream this week. And I'm gonna put some music on. So this is a band one of my buddies recommended on stream recently called Vanilla. I've been going through some of their stuff. It's like I have to plan out like 2 hours of music ahead now. I try and plan these things now. I've got an itinerary, so we'll put this on. It should be fairly chill. I feel like when you're making game dev things, you need something quite relaxing because it can be quite a frustrating experience at times. But I guess we all get something out of it, so we'll carry on. Right. Talking of carrying on, I'm gonna share with everyone kind of progress that's been made. I'll probably wait a few minutes for people to filter in, um, but I've made quite a fair bit of progress this week. It's been again, it's been a kind of a strange week. Been somewhat less motivated this week for some reason, but I think I've got to the point in this project where it's no longer like a new thing, and suddenly there are decisions that need to be made. And yeah, like at some point of every project, you get to the point where um, you've made enough stuff that it's no longer a concept, but you need to start planning things, basically. So we're getting quite close to that. Um, so as some of you might know, I've been working on this inventory system for like I think about 3 weeks now. But this inventory system has a lot going on in it, so um, it's kind of taken a lot of time, and there's a lot of stuff you have to do to get inventory system working, and I want that to feel great. Yeah, a lot of work's been put into that. Some work into item definition. So Last week we talked a bit about addressables, and I'll go over kind of what the result of that was and how we're kind of defining items and how addressables has informed our design decisions around the item data structure. Obviously, like the scene should be looking a bit better now. It's been like light mapped. Um, this, this music's very like bombastic all of a sudden. Um, yeah, so obviously you can see this has been light mapped. So I finally got myself a new GPU, and that meant I could actually use the GPU light mapper. And baking this light map took about 10 minutes, and I was dead chuffed at that. Uh, so hopefully I'm planning to go over the plan I had for light mapping this scene so far. Obviously, again, I have to state this is not a finished scene. This is just kind of like a test that I'm using. The final scene needs a lot more stuff put in, thought about what leads to where. This is just kind of a working test. So I'll go into kind of my light mapping plan. I also want to do some work on UI. and at the moment we've got UI for our inventory system, but we don't have any way to equip or unequip weapons, discard things, and even toggle the UI on and off. So those are some things that I'd like to address this week. Yeah. So let's maybe think about what we want to do first. So firstly, I'm just going to kind of show you a little bit about how this light mapping is working. Oh, hi Ian, how's it going? Hope you've had a good week. Just about to go into kind of the light mapping I've used for this. Good, yes, good to hear, good to hear. Right, we've got some bots in chat, that's good to see. Okay, so light mapping, again, this is something which I sometimes had to dabble with in the past, but I've had to kind of really think about it, and particularly with this development of this project as it's existed over the past maybe 6 weeks, I've had to properly look into light mapping. So my plan for this scene is, firstly, it's underground, so let's just have a look at it not light mapped. There's still some fog in this, so this is, and some post-processing, but oh, that's still showing the light mapping, to be honest. Okay, but so my plan has been that this is an underground scene. I want there to be one directional light, which is like the sun, I suppose, but the sun's mainly being used for shadows. Where is my... can I put this on wireframe? Maybe if I just take the fog off temporarily. That should... yeah, okay, that's a bit better. So this is... it's still got light maps on, but this is more what it looks like without it. We've got one directional light, which is just it's pointing down, and that's been given a, instead of having like a bright color, it's just been given a dark color, and that should kind of help darken the scene up. And so we can kind of adjust that if we want it to be lighter or not. I've set the mode to mixed and the intensity to 0.7. Because the light mapping I'm using requires that directional light. And I'm using, I've just made like a prop here, which is kind of like a light strip, I guess. And there's 3 elements to this light strip. So my idea for kind of light mapping it, and again, I'm not an expert, is to make these props that act as lights as prefabs, and put the lights within those prefabs and place them throughout the scene. So yeah, that's kind of the plan, and that's what I tried out with these light bars. So there's a couple different things. So there is an emission. Firstly, there's like an emissive texture on the like the light bars themselves, which, oh, because it's a real-time CSG thing, it's going to be harder to kind of show, but that's just an emissive material. And I've got this rectangular area light, and that just kind of points down. I don't know if you can see that. It's just like a rectangle, and that just projects onto the floor. Yeah. If I go further back, and then I've got 3 spotlights that just kind of are next to each other, and they kind of make a kind of almost like a cylinder of light across the floor. And then I've kind of just, put them next to each other to make a a series of lights. And I think that looks quite good, especially with a bit of fog to add some contrast. It's very bright. Yeah, I want it to be kind of high contrast. Is this linear or gamma? It's the default, which I think is gamma. I could be wrong. I'm not sure, but this kind of center area is a bit too dark at the moment. Linear looks more realistic. That's good to know. Like, I don't know if I want something that looks super realistic, but I guess I want these kind of high contrast bright areas and like quite dark areas, but not as dark as the center. So this is obviously something I'm still working on, but the good thing about having these as prefabs is I can just modify one of the prefabs and then rebake the scene. And then because of the GPU light mapper, 10 minutes later I can kind of see how that's affected the scene. These kind of overlapping spotlights are quite intense. Like, I could bring the intensity down on those, but I mean overall I'm actually quite happy with how it looks, but maybe the intensity needs to be ticked down a bit. And they're just placed around the scene, and as you can just see the kind of effect they have, so it's quite a very bright kind of look there, which adds a lot of contrast to these dingy tunnels. They've also got a blue tint on them, which kind of gives the scene this kind of bluish aura. And I think that's quite good. I guess that's the type of thing you might do in color grading, but I'm happy with how this looks for now. Once this kind of center bit has had a bit more attention, like on the sides at Subway you might have the stop name. So I'd like to just put like a stop, like a station name on the side, and maybe a light above it, and those will kind of help bring some more light to this central area. But I mean, this is supposed to look abandoned, so I don't want it to be like too much. I might even like just make some of these lights broken. Oh, so this is using URP. It's all baked lighting URP. Yeah, thanks Ian. It's one of the issues I've had actually is the decals I'm using. I think I need to modify the material because I don't know if they're looking quite right. So I'll need to look into that. But I mean, it's really just been a godsend being able to bake in 10 minutes as opposed to like 3.5 hours. So it's been really fun to actually have a play around with the lighting a little bit this week. It's not something I've gone into a lot, but oh, hi Novaleaf, how's it going? How do you like URP versus built-in? Why choose URP versus HRP? What has sped up the baking times? I was using my previous graphics card only had 3 GB of RAM, and my new one has a lot more. And you need 4 GB of RAM to use the minimum to use the GPU light mapper. So yeah, now I've got a lot more. Let's just say that. So URP versus built-in, and why choose URP? So URP's kind of, I think Unity's trying to push it as the kind of default thing to go for performance. The URP pipeline is just like, it's the performance-oriented pipeline for Unity, and they've got 3 kind of default pipelines, let's say. So obviously you've got the standard one, the HD, RP, and URP. So I've had a bit of a play around in the HDRP, I forget how it's pronounced, but the way you handle light in the high definition render pipeline is completely different, and the way you handle materials in HDRP is completely different. So all of these materials in this scene are what are called PBR materials. If we have a look at one of them, if we have a look at, where did I put them? Should be in my Quixel folder. Quixel. And we've got, say, Snowy Rock here. So this is just a shader, Universal Render Pipeline Lit. It's basically the standard shader if you're used to the standard, built-in Unity pipeline. And you've got this workflow. You can have metallic or specular, and that just defines like normal maps and stuff. The materials that you use in HD render pipeline are completely different. They're a lot more powerful, but the workflow is a lot different. So you can go from something like Quixel Mixer to HDRP, and you can use these like different maps, like base map, metallic map, normal map, height map. I forget what it officially supports, but you can do that. It's just a different setup process, and again, the lighting's a lot different. The lighting so obviously in this I've got three or four types of lights in my light bar. So let's have a look at one of my lights. So I've got spot, directional, point, and area, which is a baked only light. The others can be mixed. Some of those exist in HDRP, and they're kind of different. So instead of having intensity, it's a different value. I don't know the name of that off by heart, but anyway, like there's a really good example project. Unity put out a new HDRP example project about 2 or 3 months ago. If you're interested in it, really worth checking out. I learned quite a lot from that. So also another thing that's good about HDRP is it has decals built in, whereas the decals I'm using in this, I had to use a third-party tool. So yeah, there's a lot different, but you can still make URP stuff look really good, I think. So yeah, I think I want to use URP, so waiting for a demo sample on that. So you should be able to now, Nova, just if you load up just the default Unity URP project, when you select project, it should be enough to get you started. You can convert, I mean, like, I think depending on what you're making, if you're doing something early into production, then you look at the goals of what you're making, and then you decide on your pipeline from there. You can switch from the built-in pipeline. I'm sure you're not pretty clueless, Nova. I'm sure you probably know more than you realise. But yeah, URP, performance, the standard kind of built-in Unity pipeline. It's more, I think it's becoming more and more a legacy pipeline that you probably wouldn't use anymore. And the HDRP is for like ray tracing, high-end stuff. Oh, another thing, HDRP isn't supported on Nintendo Switch. So if you wanted to make a Switch game, you wouldn't be able to use HDRP at present, at least. So there's different platform compatibilities with different pipelines. So yeah. Okay, so we went a bit into the lighting here. And again, you know, it is quite dark, but I quite like it. And it needs work. So, next thing I wanted to cover was... It's quite spooky, yeah. I want it to be a bit spooky. The next thing I wanted to cover was the changes I've made to the inventory since last week. So obviously we were talking about addressables last week. Oh, there's a little bug where I need to reopen this. And what I've done is I've got a scriptable object. Like a scriptable object called item definition. Let me try and find that in data management. And this just has a whole bunch of stuff. Anything around, you know, what an item could be. So I've got these data objects in my scene. Where would they be? Prefabs? Items? So on the right here we've got a shotgun item. And like before, we've got 2 addressable objects, or 3 addressable objects if you include itself. Is there some way to add anti-light? Like if you wanted to make certain parts of your level darker, then just no lights would allow. One thing you could do is in theory, maybe you'd be able to color the light dark. I don't know if that's possible. But you can also use volumes to change your post-processing settings. Not possible. So, I mean, what you could do, right? Let's have a little look here. So, my post-processing here, I've got a global volume. And that global volume could be like a local volume. And a local volume will be like, it's like a bounding box that if you walk into, you could change your post-processing settings. So you could add like some kind of color modification into local volume on your post-processing settings that would just darken the whole screen. And as you walked out of that area, it could be, everything could become lighter. So again, I'm not an expert, but you could use local volumes to achieve something similar. Yeah. Fog. I guess you could increase the fog. You could dynamically increase the fog if you go into an area. That's also true. Alright. Sorry, where was I? Oh yeah, so my items, yeah. Just kind of hacks to work around it, yeah. Again, I'm not an expert, and I'm sure someone who's had more experience lighting places would probably be able to give you... Yeah, if you have no ambient light, then everything would be completely black by default. Yeah, that's correct, Ian. So that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment, where everything's kind of very dark by default, and as I add in lights, it's making it lighter. Making the corridor darker might be cool. Yeah, I'm not sure how I would accomplish that other than just bringing these lights down. I think at some point, like, you kind of have to resign to it. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a better way to do that, Nova. I'm not sure. I'm sure someone who's like really on lighting would be able to give you that answer, but that person is not me, sadly. Okay, so my items, they've got a reference to the addressable for itself, the display in the UI, the display of the object in the world, a name and a description, cost if you want to sell the item, the maximum of the item in a stack. So if you had ammo, you might have 20 in a stack. Seeing as this is a shotgun, it's only got 1. I've also got an animator trigger, and I'll go into that later, and a resource use cost. And so if it's a gun, it uses a resource when you use it, right? So it uses shotgun shells. So we've got that use cost. Oh, hey Ridley, how's it going? Um, how's your week been, man? I'm just going over items. um, yeah, I mean, we've also got like a storage, the shape of the item. So this is like just a stick at the moment, but it could be like an X, an X. So that's just the shape of the item in the inventory. Stressed out of my eyeballs, but hey, it's nearly the weekend. Oh, that sucks to hear, Woodley, but man, weekend's nearly there. Well, weekend's like an hour away, right? That's pretty good. Just, just keep your head down for that hour. That's what I would do. Oh yeah, then we've got an item class. So an item can be like a key item, like armor, so head, body, or leg armor. It could be a resource, like a shotgun shell, a consumable, like a health potion, a mod, like something you would put into like a piece of armor to enhance it, or an ability which would give you like a whole different like set of moves. So those are the different classes I've got. I think that's going to cover most of it. How am I doing? Oh, thanks for asking, really. I'm doing okay. I've been a bit like tired this week. I was saying at the start of the stream, this project's got to the point where it's not new anymore, and it's got stuff that needs to be done, and I need to think about it. And once you've been working on a project, I guess I've been working on this for like 6 weeks? 6 weeks now? Once you've been working on a project for about that long, it's like, oh, the gloss of a new project isn't there, and just reality sets in about how much work it's going to be. But having said that, I'm still quite optimistic, and it's been just a bit of a slow week because, I don't know, I've been quite all out on it recently, and it's kind of taking its toll. But I'm still enjoying working on it, and I'm happy to see the scene looking better now. So I know the feeling. The start of a project is the fun bit. Yeah, ain't that the truth? When like the possibilities are infinite, and you don't have to think about the results of any of your actions. It's a great flipping time. Like it's just fantastic. But when you're like, oh, I need to make reload animations, and each gun needs its own animation set, and everything starts to dawn on you about how much you've got to do. But we're getting there. Okay. The other thing that's important, looks fantastic to me, but maybe focusing more on the gameplay. Iterate that. Yeah, Nova, yeah. I am getting there. Don't worry. It's happening. So for me, the issue is more the gameplay. The gameplay is tied to the animation. So, like, I think a lot of this is going to be the feel of like pulling out a gun and shooting a dude. Right? But I've got like the stuff I was talking about last week about the hacking that needs to be done. But I want to get it to a base state where you can kill dudes, pick up their ammo they drop, use that to equip your gun, reload your gun, switch guns, switch different things, and each of those items has an animation set associated with it. So I think making this game is mainly, well, prototyping it is going to be a lot of animation work. So planning out that is something I'm a little anxious about. But I think if I make the foundations of it solid, I think we can kind of do that. So, but yeah, I mean that's why this item is so important. So all of these items have an animation associated with it, and in my animator, I've got like I don't know if anyone can see that animator. So in my animator, I've basically got like an unarmed set of animations and a set of animations for shotgun. And as you kind of like swap weapons, you know, or go to the change weapon animation, then it'll go to the shotgun set of animation. I'll need to make one for handgun and, you know, rifles or, you know, swords, that kind of a thing. So each of these items has a animation set associated with it. So you can see how everything becomes so animation heavy. Yeah, I mean, I'm digressing a little bit, as is the norm. So items also have two other important things. They've got a set of grids within them for ammo and any modifications you add to them. So I've got this grid definitions, and it can be a bit jank. But these are just grids, like storage grids, like we use for everything else. So let's say this shotgun has 8 rounds in it. I've got a storage in there, and it's got a purpose of ammo. And whenever we fire, we'll take a shotgun ammo from our ammo storage and use that to fire. And we've also given the shotgun a modification set, and that's where we'll add the chips or the modifications to enhance our gun. So if we get like a modification that gives it an extra shell, if we can fit it in our modification storage, that means we can modify. We've got a better shotgun, right? So there's like an upgrade system in place there. And kind of the final piece, there are other things that I need to put into this, but the final piece for now is the item formula. And this is a quite simple damage descriptor for what damage is associated with this item. So I've got a few damage types here. I've got physical, bullet, magic, hack, and untyped. So we were talking about hacking before. Maybe different terminals, or maybe like if you shoot someone with a hack type weapon, you can like hack into their like brain or something. So we've got all of these damage types that are also like we can use for different things. And that just has a base value of 10, and we can like multiply it. So our base value here would be 10 times 1.1, which is 11, right? We can add like different calculations on top of it, but the idea is that if you've got any modifications, the base value of that attack will be, the modifications will enhance the base value of your attack. Or if, for example, your character is spec'd out for guns, their base bullet damage will be added to the base value of the bullet damage here. So with that, we've got our item formula, which is acting as a damage descriptor here. But this could also be modified to like give the player health. So this is kind of quite a simple damage formula. But one of the cool things this opens up to is this base value. We could, if it was shooting a shotgun ammo item here, maybe if it could take multiple different types of shotgun ammo, and each of them has like a different potency. So it's a very flexible system, but we haven't implemented like using ammo when you're firing yet. So that still needs to be done. Let's quickly go into the game, and I'll just quickly show what the inventory system is looking like at the moment. So as you can see, we can define different shapes for our inventory system, which is, that's pretty cool. Like if we wanted, we can just, that might be useful for any number of reasons. And if I just pick up some stuff. So that's all working like before, as you'd expect. We've got our main inventory at the top and our kind of overflow at the bottom. But like at the moment, obviously we can move stuff about, but we can't be like, oh, can I equip this? What type of item is this? Is this a weapon? Is this an item? Is this ammo? So what I'd like to do is kind of add some kind of context to these items. So maybe for now it'll be a right-click menu where if you right-click on something, it'll say equip, discard, whatever. So that's probably what we'll move on to next. One quick thing before that is I can have a look at a character here. So I've actually added I've added in weapon swapping, like I've just hard coded in an example. So if we have a look at our player animator, I'm just going to run it. And you can see how we're going in. This is supposedly an unarmed attack animation, but obviously that's the same as the gun at the moment. But you can see how we're in the unarmed layer of our animator. And if we swap guns, what button was it? F? Now you can see we've got a shotgun equipped and we're in the shotgun animation set. So, and all that's doing is swapping the equipped item. So you can see how when we equip items, we can just link that with animation sets. And that's going to be key to this. Oh, I've waffled on for a while now. Does anyone have any questions, or any lurkers in chat want to say hi, or this music's way too cheery. I'm gonna put the other album on, something a bit more chill, less vocal, Okay. Yeah, so what music did you play last week? It was dope. Oh, I couldn't tell you. I can't remember. Oh, you could probably dig that up from the archive. No, I can't remember, sadly. Right. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to toggle the inventory display on and off, and that's just going to be really simple to do. We're just going to hack that in for now. So we'll just put if key and we want this to be like a command menu. So command menu. And I need to link up the buttons to some logic. And I'm just going to... Normally I probably would do this with code, but I think I'm just going to use the UI events. So we need to create logic for using and discarding. So this needs the player as context of what to use on. So we'll need a reference to the player. The public player controller. Player. So public void discard. Does it need a reference to the... Maybe, yeah, I think it does. Public void discard. Something we need to select the object, select the item, select use, and discard. Maybe that's enough. So we're kind of we're selecting stuff as we pick it up and move it about at the moment, but I don't think we're storing that when we just click on it. Let's just see what's happening. So if I load in... Oh, that's because I've modified it. Okay, let me just pick up some items from the floor and I'll save a new item loadout. And so as I pick up these box items, I should be able to save that as a loadout. And then when I load it, yeah. So at the moment we can drag these about, yeah, but when we just click on them, we're not selecting them. Well, we're not storing that selection, so let's do that. So we have a UI check here. So we've got this private item grabbed. And I guess we'll do item selected. And whenever we grab an item, I guess we'll just select that item for now. So we go to our grab code. We'll just do item selected also equals the item we're grabbing. And normally when we let go, item grabbed, item grabbed gets cleared when we place it. So we need like a proper reference to it. Okay. So use, we get the player controller, so that's player dot use. And we want to use the item selected dot item. Player should probably... You could probably pass in an instance of the item or the UI of the item. Because maybe we'll want to do something with the item, like destroy it once it's used. So that's something we'll need to look at. Discard, that should be fairly simple. So the storage grid that the item is part of, we want to remove the item and then destroy the UI. So I guess with discard we'll do item selected dot item UI. Maybe we need like a destroy function within the UI, and then that UI element will handle the destruction of the item data object. Let's do that. Because I'm over, maybe I don't want to call it destroy. Maybe I'll call it just destroy item for now. So let's go to item UI. So in our item UI we create visuals, update visuals, set cell, rotate, update. So we'll just create a destroy item function. And we want to, we'll do GameObject.destroy this. And we also need to remove the item from the storage grid it's in, so let's see. Storage grid cell UI. So the cell should have the storage grid. So cell.storage .remove. This item. I believe that should work. Let's have a think about, let's just go over our logic again. Very simple. Maybe we don't need this select option for now. So use, we just pass the use command to the player, and discard we call destroy item on the item UI, which in turn removes the item from the storage grid and removes the visual component of it. Seems fairly simple. Oh, we need to load this command menu when we right click. So let's add that in. Maybe I'll add that in just in the update here for now. So do if input.get mouse button down, mouse button 1, which is the right mouse button. We want to show the command menu. Command menu.gameObject.set active, and if mouse button 1, if it's clicked off, we want to hide it. We'll deal with that later. For now, maybe that'll just open it and put it in the right position. So we need to move it to command menu.gameObject. How do we move to the mouse position in UI space again? Luckily, I have some code for this. In UI check, I can just yoink. We can just set it to mouse position. Okay. So we just set it to input.mouse position. Dot transform dot position. Save that. And because it's anchored to the top left, it should appear to the right of the mouse. Oh, before we do that, we'll just add in awake. We'll just set the command menu game object. Oh, this game object doesn't need to be there. We'll just set it to default be inactive, so it's hidden by default. That needs to be set up, so in our storage grid mouse controller, we'll just put our command menu in there and populate the player. Save that. Okay. So right-clicking. So if we right-click on that, click discard. Oh, the buttons haven't been linked up to the logic. Let's quickly do that. So button, we need to rename this to discard, button discard. So button use, we'll just add event to it. We'll pass in the storage grid mouse controller and make that run. That needs to run use. So one click, that's going to call use. And we'll do the same for discard. And discard is going to run, obviously, the discard function that we wrote. So this is fairly simple stuff still. I have to pick simple stuff to do on stream because it takes a lot to kind of go over it step by step. Okay, so in theory now, right click that, discard. Yeah, that's still not running. It's linked to discard. Oh, the actual game object itself isn't being destroyed? So item UI.destroy item. Let's go back to that. Game object.destroy. This needs to be, when you want to remove the game object itself, you need to reference the game object because this just refers to the class. So we'll just do game object.destroy this.game object. I suppose technically we would do this afterwards, but it actually doesn't matter in Unity because the destroy commands are like, they happen all at once. So I could call logic after the destroy if I wanted to. Right. Okay, so as I pick stuff up, well, obviously I can toggle this on and off now. We'll just select this T. Oh, well, we deleted the T, so it's working, but obviously we're not letting this block raycast at the moment, so that's the problem. But it does work, so that's good. So I want to check the use is going to work now. Now the only kind of visual indicator I've got for using items at the moment is switching between armed, shotgun and unarmed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just going to hide these item pickups. I'll duplicate them and I'll just have 2 item pickups, one for unarmed and one for one for shotgun. I'll just link those in now. Obviously I need to make these visual indicators, so this is the toughest part of Unity for me, fiddling with the game object's mono-behavior plumbing, especially putting various things in editor and others in code. Yeah, a lot of people will fight the use of mono behaviors, and more use Unity as a what do I want to say? Just a display layer. So a lot of people do that. They just use Unity as the display layer and have all of the game logic and descriptions not in components but in data objects. Like maybe you'd have all of your data in JSON files. For me, I find it's best to work with Unity, but there is a ramp up on figuring out how that works. So like I was using for the items, those are Unity scriptable objects, and that's where I'm storing my data for them. But getting used to how things talk to each other, it does take a while. And especially if you're not careful, you can end up with just like a mess of references, right? So obviously for this storage grid controller, we've added in a command menu, and we've had to drag a reference into that, and a player, and we've had to drag a reference into that. Obviously there's not a lot happening there, but as this is like a really common thing for Unity projects, is they'll have a player script. I mean, our player script already has quite a lot of things on it, but they'll have a player script, and this has got a relatively small number of different properties on it at the moment, but I've seen player scripts which are just like, you could just keep scrolling down for days and it just becomes a mess. So I find how I deal with that is I use scriptable objects to store a lot of the data, and I use my properties, like I'll populate like a player with a scriptable object with my properties, so that helps keep things neater. But it can be like, people just, if you don't pay attention to your properties, it just becomes a mess. That's what I'm trying to say. So keep an eye on that. All right. I went off on one again there. It's an interesting one to go over though. You don't need to apologise. I love going off on stuff about Unity. It's a very common thing. It's really, really common, and I think if you want Unity development to be your thing, you'll definitely start a project with the best intentions, and then you'll start to lazily just create these game objects with just huge amounts of properties in the components, and finding ways to organize and mitigate that is part of the growth of being a developer in Unity. But I can see why people don't like it, because it's just like, I think when you're a developer, you want everything to be neat all the time. Life doesn't work out that way, sadly. But you do your best to keep things as neat as you can within the time constraints that you have. And same with any other coding language, or framework. Right. Oh, that's right. I was going to populate these as a unarmed weapon and a gun. So, item. I can just go to shotgun item, and this one I'm going to set to unarmed item. I'll save that. I don't think I've looked at these in UI yet, so maybe these will turn out terribly. Oh, I'm going to disable the canvas as well by default. Okay, so, oh, what's happened here? Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Oh, that's worrying. Storage grid. Maybe I need that to be enabled by default, the canvas, in how I'm setting it up. Yeah, okay. I'll sort that off stream. So now we've picked up our items. I'll go into our menu. Oh yeah, so the visual side of these is not. I haven't done the UI side of these. So yeah. Oh, that's right. I set it to across, didn't I? And what's going on with this one? Oh, this is just an L shape rather than a T. An I shape rather than a T. So, at the moment I'm unarmed. The shotgun should be... Which one's the shotgun? I'll need to put some text on these so I know what's what. The shotgun is... this one. So I don't have a shotgun equipped. If I go to my... If I use that? Okay, yeah, so that's swapping to a shotgun. And if I click on this one, and I use it, that switches to unarmed. Now, I suppose, thinking about further on, if I was to have the shotgun equipped, and then I discarded it, I'd have to, like, maybe put a check for anything the player has equipped they can't discard. So that's something to think about. But that logic is working, so that's good. It's just not particularly elegant, but it's very functional. So that's good. For how this looks, I don't really know. I imagine your storage would start off something like this and would go through upgrades as you kind of went through the game. So quite if it would change from a rectangular shape, I don't know, but yeah, so that's working. What else have we got here? Using ammo, that's something I wanted to do. Go over changes, place cameras. Select item, equip, discard, combine. One thing I was going to do, which was like kind of an easy task for me to do on stream, I was just going to set some cameras up because we haven't got any cameras. We've got one camera set up in this, and every other scene has cameras, so I figured I'd just do that. It's like a fun, brainless task for me to do. So to do that, we've just got these little triggers. Camera trigger. There we go. Yeah, we've just got these little triggers. And because it's so bright, it's kind of an issue in seeing things. But as you go on one side of things, it'll change to another camera. So let's just set up some cameras. We've got one main camera at the moment. I'm going to create a zeroed out game object to store our cameras. I'll put the main camera in there. As you can see, we obviously have this little preview window whenever we're selecting cameras. Just make a bit more screen space there. So maybe that's a good default camera, and as we go through here, maybe we'll have like a something like this. So I'll just duplicate that main camera, and then there is a shortcut for this. I'll just align with view. And maybe just adjust the rotation a bit so that's not as skew-with. So as the player kind of goes through there, we'll pick that camera. And then as they come out, one thing we could do is like one of these cameras where you can kind of see the edges of the game world. Maybe we give that a try. Where was the align with view option? So if you select, so obviously if you pick the view you want, you pick your game object in the hierarchy. Let's just copy another game object. So you pick that object in the hierarchy, and if you go to game object align with view. I should learn this shortcut seeing as I use this quite a lot. Control Shift F. Let's do that. So you can Control Shift F. Yeah, no problem. And then so I suppose we need like a camera for this kind of passage. I'll just create a few cameras here, so we'll have, what's it, Control Shift F? And Control Shift F. And then maybe we'll do something like this again. Control Shift F. And I'm not going to worry about this space for now, but maybe I'll... Oh, there is... We can go down to a bottom platform, can't we, there? It's quite interesting. That's kind of hidden. A whole little unlit platform down here, which I'm not using. Yeah, let's try and... Now, obviously, when we're going above like this, we're seeing the lights. So I suppose we might want to hide those if that's something we want to pursue. Control Shift F for that. Maybe something like that. Then we kind of go back onto the main platform, and maybe we've got this far view, which might be a bit creepy. Kind of voyeuristic, I suppose. Control Shift F. And then finally we go back to the main bit. So, we need to set up camera triggers for all of those. Is there a good way you can inspect the coverage of your cameras in the scene view? Yeah, there is. I know you can kind of see the frustrance. Oh. I think that's about it. I mean, you click on the camera and you can see a preview of it, and obviously the view frustrance. It's not, I don't think it does much else. If you wanted to see it on the right here, if you've got a whole bunch of cameras, you could just set the priority to like higher than the other cameras, and it'll switch to that camera. Obviously, all of these cameras are different priorities, but if I set that higher, you can see how that becomes the main camera. Okay, so now we need to do the painstaking process of setting up the triggers. So I'm just going to copy the camera triggers and put them where I want the transitions to occur. I can resize these if I want, but I think this is good for now. These should probably go in their own game object as well. Just want to rotate that around the Y. I'll have that just within, so as you go in, it'll switch. And again for the other side. And another 2. I mean, this could be 1, I suppose. That 1 set of camera triggers that just... Oh no, it needs to be 2 because there's 2 different cameras, obviously. Yeah, so something like that. And then we're going through this into this area. This doesn't need to be like an exit area system as well. Like what you could do is you could have like just a game object with the area defined that when you're in it, it switches to that camera rather than these small areas. They could be like large areas. This is just how I've chosen to do it for now. Maybe that's something that will change in the future. Yeah, I think that's okay for now. We've got this area. Yeah, so just as you kind of transition through this area, maybe we bring that up a bit. And then again here, and we'll just need to scale. That's okay. Yeah, we'll just need to scale that a little bit. Maybe something along those lines. And then we've got like a final one for this entrance. Which, well, again, I suppose we'll just copy the last one. Oh damn, this environment is looking good. Oh, hi Deb. Thanks man. I had to fork out a whole bunch of cash on a graphics card for it, but in this economy. But it's looking good, right? It needs some tweaks. This is only like, it's a very rough first pass. Yeah, damn. So I went over it like earlier on stream, but oh yeah, thanks dude. But it's very simple, yeah. We've got one directional light. Directional light set to mixed. Intensity is 0.7. It's normally 1, I think, or 9. 0.9. And the color, instead of being white, it's just set to a dark color. The lighting, I've got some, I'm not going to go into the baking settings I'm using, but I'm using the GPU light mapper, obviously, and some fog. You can see the fog kind of just adds a bit of contrast to the scene. I quite like that. some people think their light's a bit too bright, and I can kind of see why they'd say that. So these are just, I'm just making like HDRP. No, this is URP. This is all using baked lighting. And all this is, it's just 3 spotlights, yeah? 3 spotlights. Oh, that's the wrong one. Here you go. 3 spotlights, just to create like a tube of light, basically, and an area light. And they're all coloured blue. Like slight blue. Oh, a slight blue. The intensity is quite high on them, maybe 5. So maybe that needs to be brung down. But these are all just prefabs. That's just one prefab I'm using to light this whole scene. Just this light bar. I've just placed a whole bunch of them about, yeah. I'm using, what light map mode am I using again? I am using subtractive. So subtractive means that the player's shadow, which isn't viewable here particularly, you can kind of see it there. It means that the player's shadow is defined by the directional light. So there's maybe some work I could do there. Does a lot of light spotlights impact runtime performance much? So here's the thing, because it's baked lighting, and these are, I've set them to baked. So my area light and my spotlights are just set to baked rather than next to real time. It doesn't impact performance, but obviously it is using more memory, I suppose. I mean, it's because it's light mapped. But if these were set to real time, they would use more performance, but spotlights are actually quite performant. If you're using an area light I think is 6 times more expensive than a spotlight. So one of the tips I've heard is if you want like a performant real-time scene, you should use more spotlights rather than point lights. So hey, that's a little tip I picked up for you. What about the bulb itself? Is that an emissive texture? Oh yeah, so the bulb itself is also an emissive texture, yeah. But I found that adding actual light sources did a better job at defining the cones of light, obviously, rather than just an emissive material on the light tube itself. And I've just placed them around the scene, Dev. It's very simple. Just place them around the scene and hit the bake button. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I've got a new GPU, I can do this, but I think you have my old GPU, Dev. You've got like the 3 gig one, right? You need a 4 gig GPU to bake lighting, and it's, yeah. But like, it's good, man. It does, yeah. I know, right? It's like I think in older versions of Unity you could get away with 2 gig, but you can still bake lighting. It's just very slow. This scene took about 10 minutes on my pricey graphics card. Would have taken about 2.5 hours. So yeah, I was just setting up some camera triggers. And each of these, yeah, because that's something we've not done before. Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's going on, man. I've been streaming for 1.5 hours already. How's that happened? We've done a bit of work. So let's set these cameras up. This is going to be a little bit of a chore. So on this side, you need to kind of like manually drag and drop in these cameras. So on the front side, we want our first camera. I think there is probably a better. I could probably make an editor script to better populate this data. I just got to kind of do it for now. But thankfully these cameras are kind of quite linear at the moment. I think I can get away with just eyeballing it. So be 2 and 3. And the same 2 and 4 on that one, I think. They might be the wrong way round. I tell you what, let's just have a quick look. Let's just see if this is working. How's the development on your game going in Sweatshop Dev? I saw a bit of it yesterday. Those need to be set up. It's meant to. Oh, you're taking the day, man. Fully understand. I'm feeling a little bit burnt out recently, and I've been a bit lazy. But last night I was meant to finish the AI. I played Loop Hero. Dude, Loop Hero looks so good. Like, there's a lot of hype around that game, and I was like, oh, what is this Loop Hero game? Never, I only heard the name. But when I actually saw the game, I was like, oh, yeah, this is pretty good. Let's just move our player into the trigger. That's something we need to sort out. It seemed like a game where they knew exactly what they were setting out to make. I mean, yeah, it looks really well made, right? Way more iterative, and I don't know what's fun until I've made it. Well, I mean, it's all well and good being like, oh, these guys are basically like genius Ubermensch, right? But they probably went through a lot to get that game where it is, right? Oh, hey, here we go. It's looking good. Yeah, those are the wrong way round. That's what I thought. Yeah, I think the people making it are like long time roguelike developers. And I think like this is like the game they've been wanting to make for a while. But I'm sure they went through just as many issues as anyone else did when they were making it. See, this is where the system fails. That needs to be 3. Yeah. And that needs to be 2. Yeah, so this is so fiddly. This needs to be optimized. This editor process. So yeah, man. So I haven't even thought about AI in this. But what I want how I want AI to work is obviously I've done my loadouts, and the idea is you'll create a loadout, and a loadout will have everything an AI needs to decide what to do. So you can put abilities in a loadout, you can put weapons in a loadout, items in a loadout, and depending on what that loadout is and what situation they're in, will be how that enemy is defined. So that's the concept, at least. I don't think it's going to be quite as simple as that, but we shall see. I've been trying to use script to. Oh yeah, so Dev here actually tuned me into vanilla from one of his streams. Good. It's pretty chill. I've been trying to use scriptable objects as much as possible to store data. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I've done with my items. So, um, it seems to be working for me. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's been like it's looking nice outside. But and the future's looking bright. But I still think people are kind of like maybe it's been a tough week for some people. I don't know. It's been okay for me. I can't really complain. Just a little tired. Um, so, oh god, I'm awful at this. So camera 4, this is why you should name things, folks. Camera 4 needs to go to camera trigger 2. Camera 4. And camera 3 needs to go to this one. It's been tough for a few people, I know. It's bleak AF out there. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's looking nice where I'm at the moment, but I know it's been like a tough time for a lot of people. Been busy with work for game dev. Been too busy with work for game dev for like a month now. Super sad. Yeah, it's sad. It is. That sucks to hear, Nova. I mean, I'm quite lucky that obviously I'm freelance, so I get some time to work on my stuff. And yeah, not even playing games, lol. Yeah, I know the feel. Nova. Yeah, I've put maybe 2 hours into Chrono Cross this week. But I play a little bit of online multiplayer with my flatmate. That's kind of my gaming time. In the evening when he comes back from work, we try and find an hour to just play some games together. I never gave Cross the time it deserves. It's really cool. Tell you what, instead of this, we ain't talking about the weather, Ollie. Oh, right, yeah. No, it's a grim time. I mean, oh, I see. So, I've been like trying to research the Chrono Cross backgrounds because I think they're like a peak of that kind of PS1 aesthetic. And just look at these backgrounds, man. Is this going to the music? That's a new one. Look at these backgrounds. Look how good they are. How do I turn this off? I don't like it. Is that something else? Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. What's going on? What's going on here, though? There we go. Yeah, something screwy is going on with my setup here. I don't know if it's my game controller or... It's my game controller. Oh. That's odd. I didn't know you could use your game controller to do this. Yeah, all of these like environments, like 1999, Squaresoft, making like this stuff. It's all pre-rendered, obviously, but like these scenes they look great, Have any good tips for where to get free prototyping assets? I've been buying game dev bundles. Have I got an excellent tip for you, Nova? If you've heard of a game called Everything, if you go to itch.io, not Haunted PS1, although that is also sick. You type in Everything collection. I never played it myself. Everything collection. Oh, you know, maybe I put it on my recommendations or something in my library. I'm gonna have to find this now. Hang on. Because it... Oh, this is... I mean, this is also cool. What was it called? Everything game creator assets. I used to use it as a teaching tool. I got the game link if you want it. Do you have the game link? What is it? Just called Everything? Dave O'Reilly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Dave O'Reilly. You go onto his itch. He's got this Everything library here. Yeah. And he spent ages making this game called Everything. Yeah. And he just released all of the assets for free. You can do what you want with them. If you put them in a commercial project, you just need to credit it. I was using this when I was prototyping this game. Yeah, this is like so cool, right? Furnishings. There's like a billion things in here, yeah? If you want to put them into Unity, you'll need to make a vertex color shader, and they'll just come out like this. Furnishings. I think buildings was the one that I was quite interested in. It's just got all of these things, like just all kinds of things, consumables, geology, animals, like just so much stuff. If you want assets, you need to bring them into Unity as a single FBX, and they all use one material. So you will need to create a material, a shader that uses vertex color to color, which isn't default in Unity. You'll either need to make that shader or make that in Shader Graph, and from there you can kind of take the assets that you need. I used that when I was... do I even have that in this project? I might do. I might have removed it when I was cleaning stuff up. 3D... Everything lib. Yeah, I've got them right here. So, let's have a little look at it, shall we? Because I think this is such a cool prototyping tool. But I've got one of my old levels I was working on was using them. And I even made my own shader to kind of add materials to them. Which, you know, if anyone wants, I can provide you with that. What is it called? Simple Room? Oh, I think this might be a bit dark because it's using the same lighting settings. So I'll just need to remove the... oh, the fog is removed. Let's unhide that. Simple Room 2? Maybe I removed it, you know. Anyway, just do a new scene. Basic scene. Let's get animals in here, shall we? Right. So they all kind of... oh, cool. Yeah, seeing your shader would be nice. I haven't done any shader dev. Bought some Udemy courses on it though. Haven't watched. Yeah, fair dues. Like, I'm not great with shaders myself. I'm Scoobied when it comes to writing shaders. Yeah. I say I'm not an expert at shaders, but the... what do they call it? The shader graph is actually really good. And I could go over some basics for it one stream, actually, if people want. And yeah, as you can see, this is just classed by animal type. So if we want just birds, you kind of need to do, you need to kind of just scrub them out. So it can take a little bit to kind of find what you're going for. But if you want a bird in your game, you know, you've got like, there's like 12 birds. And they're all low poly, performant meshes. The one I used the most, I think, was furnishings. So let's have a look at furnishings. Yeah, this is the one I use the most. So if you want to build like little basic levels, say if you're making a room, there's like, let's separate these out. So you'll probably want to make, if you want to use these, you'll probably want to make like a separate scene and just drag these all out and figure out what you want. But they're all tagged. Yeah, so say if you wanted a specific table, let's just drag these tables out. Oh, unpack the prefab, rather. Right click. Prefab. Unpack completely. That should make selecting things a bit easier, yeah. So, I mean, obviously a table isn't the most difficult object to model, but you've got a whole bunch of tables here. Picnic table. Make a scene with that. I think I was using some of the bookshelves from the indoor thing. Yeah, so it's like beds, doors. This bookshelf I used quite a lot. Super useful time saver. Yeah, like if you wanted to learn, I think one of the reasons he put this out was they're good studies for learning how to model. Because they're quite simple. But you could make an entire game with this, you know. It's a big bottle of Domestos there or something. There's like variations on these bookshelves, so if you wanted a few different types of bookshelves, yeah, so basically if you don't know where to start for making scenes, yeah, and you just want to spice up your scenes a bit, what is it? davidoreilly.itch.io, everything library. You can throw him some cash, or you can just download them. So yeah, check it out. When I was doing research for this, that's what I did. I think the only model I made was a beveled box. You can do a lot with a beveled box. Yeah, really good kickoff point for making scenes and prototyping. So yeah, I used that when I was prototyping this, which is why it's already in. And all that is, I think I got a color diffuse there, and do I have a graph for it? Maybe I do. Shaders. Vertex hue. Yeah. This is quite a simple shader graph. Obviously, if you've not done shaders before, there's probably a lot to take in. But essentially all we're doing is we're getting the vertex color, which is just a graph node, yeah. The simplest this could be was you'd get the vertex color, yeah, and just connect it to the base color on your fragment, and then export it or save it, and then you're basically ready to go. So you could do this, you could make this shader on your own really simply. Yeah, you make a vertex color node, attach it to your base color. So yeah. Where were we? Oh, I didn't know about all these models. My go-to would be opengameart.org. Yeah, opengameart.org is really cool. So the quality can be, let's go to it. Let's have a little look, shall we? Seeing as we're going over assets. OpenGameArt. OpenGameArt's a really cool thing, but the quality can be a bit all over the place. And oh yeah, no worries, Nova. Yeah, this can be really good. I think there's a lot of good 2D stuff on here. You know, free and open source textures. Free stuff is always good. Like, a lot of people contribute to this site and ask for nothing in return, and that's a very admirable thing. But the benefit of the Everything library is the art style for all of these collections is going to be the same. Whereas, I don't know, maybe if you get like a low poly base human model, let's have a look at this. So I mean, you know, that's okay. I think in general this is good for 2D stuff. The 3D stuff tends to be a bit different. I took the shotgun, I got a shotgun and a pistol from here for use in games, so yeah, I wouldn't use OpenGameArt now knowing about everything being open. I mean, I've used it for guns, basically. I think there's things that you can use this for, and I think in general, game artists, they start off making guns, right? It's like, I don't know, you play Counter-Strike or something and you're making guns for that, right? So, yeah. So I mean, that's kind of a couple of good resources there. When it comes to music, there's that guy who's on all of the YouTube videos. He's pretty good. Oh, when it comes to audio though, there's Freesound Project. Freesound.org. So if you just need some, like, I don't know, you need someone screaming, right? You just type scream into here and you've got 139 pages of screams. Yeah, I use these guys a lot. Yeah, Dev. They are good. Freesound Project, again, generally you'll just need to attribute. Some of them don't even require that. So, really good for audio, but not so much for music. You're probably using royalty-free music tracks. That's probably what I'll do for this one, although maybe I'll make a track or two. I mean, I'm known to make music occasionally. So, yeah. TBH, I think YouTube is the place to go for royalty-free and commercial-free music. That's a good shout, Dev. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I think there's like one or two YouTube channels I was subscribed to when I was looking for that kind of stuff. But I've not really kept up to date with that. But I'm sure it's an excellent resource for that. There is yeah, I'm not up to date with where you get royalty-free music myself, because I try and make my own stuff now, basically. Okay, well, hopefully that offshoot was useful for people. Because hello Math Plus Games, how's it going? Are you making any games yourself? We're kind of wrapping up at the moment. We've been talking about open source game assets. Don't know if you've got any cool tips on open source game assets. Yeah, we were just adding the rest of these camera triggers, weren't we? This might be something we can do for 10 minutes. I am prepping for game jams. Cool, I love a game jam. Is there a particular game jam you're prepping for at the moment? I haven't done a jam in a while myself. I used to do them all the time. There's one starting tomorrow. At a UDC community. Oh, okay, cool. So I guess you're waiting on a theme. Oh, £300 worth of assets, so there's a reward. That's pretty cool. Yeah, psyched. Are you going to be streaming that? I don't know if you're a streamer, Math Plus Games. I think Twitch is kind of like always thirsty for game dev streamers. Right, so we're just setting these up. I swear to God, I'm the most distractible human. I am a Twitch partner, but I've not streamed programming much. Yeah, it's hard to. It can be hard to stream programming, right? Because you're in one mindset, and it's hard to be entertaining when you're trying to like figure out math problems. But how I get around that is I kind of do a little bit of prep work beforehand. But I don't know if I found the right medium for it yet. Yeah, I feel that's hard remembering a sequence of words and talk. I struggle with that anyway, so stream debugging, make your audience feel your pain. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's gone fairly smooth on stuff I've worked on, but as I try and do more complex stuff and less stuff I've prepared for it, the harder it gets, I think. Okay, we've only got a couple of these left. So where's this? So that goes from camera 5 to camera 6. Camera 6, yeah. That just goes into here. And camera 6 into camera 7. And camera 7 into camera 8. I just need to check which side is which. Yeah, 7 to 8, and then 8 back to the first camera. Yeah, so 8 back to the first camera. Also, I'm a noob, so I feel too much pressure when I stream. Yeah, I mean, it can get to you, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not a noob. Like, I'm fairly experienced with Unity, so I feel a bit more comfortable with it, but it's still kind of nerve-wracking to, like, fuck up in front of people. Like, if you make some mistakes, like, I get kind of anxious when I'm fucking up on stream, so you have to manage that. Where does the trigger get added to the camera? So the triggers are basically, we've just got trigger 1 and 2, and I'm just drag and dropping parameter for the camera just to set that up. I see you dragging, but I didn't see and shot the camera object it goes into. The camera, the camera trigger just has two triggers, and I'm just dragging and dropping the cameras because I think I know the right order. We will see if that works. How long have I been doing it for? Unity? Oh, good grief. I've been working with Unity since 3.5. It's like coming up to 10 years. I'm an old man now. Yeah, I've been working with Unity pretty much my whole career, if you can call it that. So, there's still bits of it I don't know. Yeah. I made an app live using mainly maths and if-else statements. Everyone was laughing at my code, but it's on the Play Store now. I'm making them dollars. Who's laughing now, huh? Yeah. I love the uncertainty. Is that like a draw? Because I always assume like people would want to watch programmers on Twitch who like know how to program, but when you watch people play games on Twitch, like a lot of it's about the streamer like messing up, right? So I don't know if it's quite the same for development. All right, okay, this should be okay. Let's just have a little play through this just to wrap the stream up. So we should be able to go through the scene. It's pretty good. This looks very PS1, doesn't it? Like this kind of camera angle. Oh, well, that's a bit wrong. But we backpedal. Yeah. I'm trying to make something that's like a PS1 game, Math Plus Games. Oh, I haven't baked my nav mesh. Let's do that. Let's quickly do that. Yeah, it's been a while since I baked my nav mesh, so that was... I think unless you're a programmer, you're unlikely to watch a programming stream. Yeah, I think that's true to a degree. I try and like do a bit of programming and a bit of, well, this kind of stuff where it's a bit more visual. But yeah, I totally get that. We need to fix that. We'll fix that. Now we should be able to go through here. Yes, good, good, good. Yeah, that's cool, man. All right, full lap. Is that an AI? No, I'm just controlling this character, but it could be AI controlled because it's a nav mesh. All these mad nav skills. Yeah, yeah. It's just a nav mesh. You said you're like relatively new to Unity, right? So obviously, I don't know if you know about nav meshes, but nav meshes it's basically like just defines an area that can be traveled upon. A common use of nav meshes would be for like AI. So you can say, I could say to this character who's a nav mesh agent, I could just say, go here. I could just give them this point and they'll go to it. But what you can also do with nav meshes, which I think less people think about, is you can just have a character on a nav mesh that you can control, and then you don't have to use like rigid body physics to control your character. So this is just a nav mesh agent. I control that, and if you want it to do physics stuff, you can remove it temporarily and then re-add it back to the nav mesh. So that's what's happening there. Like a very nav mesh based. I'm a noob, but also been doing this for 1 year. I'm a noob, and I've been doing this for like 10 years. I think if you've been doing it 1 year, you're more than a noob. I think you might be better than you think you are. I've been doing it for 7 years, and I'm a noob. Exactly. Like, I don't like it when, I mean, you know, I'm a very self-deprecating man, but I don't like it when other people self-deprecate because if you've been working with Unity for a year, Math Plus Games, you probably know a lot more than you think you do. So I think, you know, graduate noob, isn't it? You are a tier up at this point, I'd say. I've been doing it for 7 years and I'm noob, yeah. Exactly. I'm wanting to do procedural large worlds, so I guess I need to roll my own A star or something. Yeah, it's interesting, No Belief. Obviously, I think you were there when we saw Sideglide, and now it's procedural. And you can you know you can do a rigid body based movement, like totally fine. I'm just choosing to do that for this project. Ian, they keep adding new features, and every time it bumps me back to noob. Yeah, that's exactly it, Ian. Like, at this point, Unity is such a large software. You can bake NavMesh at runtime as well, I think. Yeah, I've not done it. I don't know. I imagine that's possible. I'll take your word for that. I imagine there would be a small performance penalty, but I don't know if it would be that long. So maybe that's something you could do, yeah. But yeah, as I'm saying, Unity is such a large piece of software now that you get people who are Unity generalists like me, where I kind of know bits of everything, you know. But they need to update the NavMesh tool. It's okay. I don't think it's that bad. I'm okay with it. But yeah, like Unity is just such a large piece of software, and they keep adding new features. So, you know, you think about what you want to do with it. Like if you're a programmer, then you know, do the programmer side, and if you're an artist, do the art side, and if you're a madman, you become a generalist like me. So, but yeah, okay, I think we're gonna wrap up. But I had fun with the stream today. We got a bit of logic done. We looked into prefab packs. We talked about lighting. What else did we do? We added in some basic functionality, some camera angles. We did a few things today. I don't think it's bad for 2 hours. I'm a generalist, but I don't do art, I don't do music, I don't do anything that requires too much innate skill. Oh. Well, you know, if it's something you're interested in, if you're interested in art, you can do it. If you're interested in music, you can do it. Do I put these on YouTube? I'm thinking about it. I'll probably upload... I've been thinking about this, yeah. I'll probably upload all of the streams onto YouTube because some of them are good resources, whereas this one's been a bit more hangout. Yeah, I'll bung these on YouTube. I need like the chat though. The thing is, like with Unity, you don't have enough screen real estate to put chat somewhere. I'll have to figure that. Try to get a chat into, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, so that's, I think we're going to wrap up. Thanks for watching, everyone. Did I make, oh, one more question then, sure. Did I make this whole map? Yeah, so just to touch on it, yeah, I've got a vid on the tool I used to make that. It's a tool called Real-Time CSG. And if I had that video on YouTube, I could send you a link. But yeah, if you're interested in making maps in Unity, I really recommend looking up this tool, Real-Time CSG. It's free and open source. It's like making a Half-Life or a Quake map. You'll be able to figure it out if you've used a little bit of 3D software. Yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And I don't know what we'll do next week, but I'll be back here with more streams. So thanks for coming along. Cheers. Bye.